This video is brought to you by Sailrite. Visit Sailrite.com for all your project supplies, tools, and instructions.
Now this support tape is pretty well damaged, and we're going to show you how to go over the top of that and put a new piece of material in.
That's Jeff Frank, Sailrite's sail designer for over 24 years at Sailrite.
And we'll try to keep it as small as possible. But again, whenever you do this, you always have to be concerned about this part entering your, whether it's a furling sail or entering your extrusion or your tough luff or what have you. Whenever it comes to this, we're adding a layer here, so depending on how it fit to begin with, it may be, really tight at this point where it starts. And then pretty much once you get it going and you get it in the extrusion, it's going to hoist just like everything else. It'll be fine. It's just when you go up and down with this stuff, you always got to watch this point and make sure whoever is feeding it, even in the pre-feeder, is up there watching this. But it's cheaper than replacing the whole luff tape. So the first thing we wanted to do is just take a measurement. Typically these tapes are about 5 inches. I just wanted to check to see what they have here. And this will be about 5 inches. It measures 2 1/4, but that doesn't take into account the 2 ropes. So it'll be about 5 inches, so that's what we're going to cut. Now the tape is typically around 6-ounce cloth. We're going a little bit lighter here. We're going to go 5 ounce. Now I'm cutting this from scrap, but Sailrite does have a different Dacron tapes, and if you look at them up on our website you're looking for, it should say Dacron tape, non-adhesive. Now we're just going to fold this in half. This is the way I like to do it. The other way you can do it to get it started is just to hold it the right way and go over an edge of something. I'm going to get some Seamstick on this. I'm doing a couple rows here because I don't want this to move. All right, we just used a scrap piece. I made this bigger. You don't need to make it near that big. What you're looking is damage up to here, damage to here. You want to go at least 1 inch on either side. This is not a rocket science thing, so let's just go ahead and eyeball that. There's no hemming on the tape because obviously that would make it even thicker, so we never wanted to hem it. You want to get rid of things like this. I have the fabric's tucked under, so you want to pull that out. It doesn't really matter here. We can trim this up a little bit, which will help thin it out. But again, it's not the middle that's going to be an issue. It's always a start and stop point. So it's a little bit longer, but I can work with that. Easy to get started because it's already away. So I'm just going to remove 2 sides, and I'm going to get it centered. Now here, you can see that this is a little bit too long. So I'm going to just peel this up. This is one thing about doing your own thing. It's a little bit of art involved. But I can get it to where I want it to fit, and the way I want it to fit. If it was off a little bit, get this on. I'm going to take this off back here. So I know it's a little bit too long.
Jeff will remove the transfer paper from the basting tape and baste the other side of the tape to the sail. Let's move ahead.
And now that we got everything, we're going to stitch down. And we got the machine set in the widest zigzag. We tested it out so the zigzag looks sharp. Now we're
to perform these sail repairs, we're going to be using the Sailrite Ultrafeed LSC sewing machine. This is a walking foot, portable, heavy-duty sewing machine. It is the best portable walking foot sewing machine in the world. Highly recommended for sail repairs like this. At the end and the beginning of the stitching, Jeff did a little bit of reversing to lock the stitch in place. To sew next to one of those ropes, we need to install a roping zipper foot. We're going to use the roping zipper foot left. To do that, we need to remove the standard foot via this screw.
Here's a standard foot. Here's a roping zipper foot. If you know, if you see the difference, we're gonna have just like as if you cut this right here. Okay, we're gonna get rid of this part so our rope can get closer to the foot, underneath there, and then up, and make sure it goes up all the way. I'm just gonna tighten this down.
Using the roping zipper foot left, we'll be able to sew right next to that hard object, in this case a rope.
All right, we're gonna move. If you notice on the zigzag machine, there's a left. We're setting the needle over to the left, center, and right. Center is for your zigzag stitch. We're going to go all the way to the right because we want it again as far away from this foot, but as close to the rope as we can get it. And then we're going to take this zigzag width all the way to 0 because we want a straight stitch. Stitch length for this should be all the way up. So as high as it can go, as far as you can go for whatever machine you have. Again, to get this tight, I'm going to start with this secondary rope here. And here you got to be a little, you can hear it drop in, but you got to be careful not to, I mean, it doesn't really matter because this doesn't go into a groove, but you don't want to just stitch right over the top of the rope. That's not what we're going for. You just want to use up some of the material. And here, I'm going to hold on to the thread so I get this buried.
After sewing a straight stitch next to the secondary rope as close as possible, we'll next sew next to the primary rope as close as possible.
Now here we want to drive that in, so being careful not to go over. We want to go as tight as we can. You can see that this is pretty tight. There's not much of a gap there, but there is some. So that's why you got to watch that, because in a pre-feeder that might catch and tear that, then you're back to doing this all over again. The other thing to note on this stitch, you can see right here I'm not quite up to that. And in some cases you can, down here I got a little tighter because I actually rode part of the center foot onto the rope so I could get a little tighter. If you sewed this and you weren't happy with it, let's say you were further away, just go back, put it right in your machine again, and correct that problem, sew even closer.
Here's yet another sail from the Islander 37 sailboat. This is a Genoa, and on the luff at the top, at the head of the sail, the continuous support tape for a furling system has been damaged. So we'll use the Sailrite Edge hot knife and we'll trim right beside the secondary rope, not cutting into the secondary rope, with the hot knife, which helps seal the sailcloth. So this basically creates a new end of the continuous support tape. After everything is sealed as best as possible, we'll take some of that Dacron tape that we used earlier and cut a strip that can go in between the secondary rope and the primary rope. By folding this little piece of Dacron over the top of the continuous support tape at this location, that will keep this, the head of the continuous support tape, from becoming damaged as quickly as it would without. Using the Seamstick 3/8 inch basting tape from Sailrite, we can baste it in place so it doesn't move on us when we take it to the sewing machine and sew it. Using the Sailrite Ultrafeed LSZ1 sewing machine, we'll put the machine in zigzag and we'll sew across that strip, reversing a few times to lock the stitch in place and also keep that Dacron tape in place. And that's all there is to repairing a continuous support tape at the head of a sail. Here's the materials list and tools that we use to repair this sail. You can purchase these at Sailrite. Be sure to watch our videos showing how to inspect your sails for next sailing season, where Jeff Frank, Sailrite's sail designer, explains how to check and repair a set of sails for the Islander 37 sailboat. For more free videos like this, be sure to check out the Sailrite website or subscribe to the Sailrite YouTube channel. It's your loyal patronage to Sailrite that makes these free videos available. I'm Eric Grant, and from all of us here at Sailrite, thanks for watching.